There's a scene in Mockingjay Part 2 where Gale, Katniss and Finnick have arrived at the front lines and they have been assigned the Star Squadron. Boggs essentially tells them that they're not actually going to be fighting at the front lines. They are the on-face stars of the rebellion. Gale immediately questions this. Then Boggs very firmly tells him, "You will do what you're told, soldier," and Gale backs down. And I think this scene really encompasses Gale as a character. He is a soldier first, second, and always. He will follow the orders of those he perceives to be good, and he will fight against those he perceives to be bad, and he can only really see good and bad. Whereas Katniss and Peter and the other tributes know that it's a lot more nuanced than that. It's why Gale can't understand why Katniss wants to help her stylist when she finds them locked up in District 13. He sees them as a product of the Capitol, and he sees them as the bad guys. But Katniss sees them as innocent casualties of war. She sees them as people who had once cared for her. This is especially prevalent with Gale in the books. One of the major changes the movies did was they had Effie, who isn't actually present in Mockingjay the book. They brought her into District 13. I cannot believe that Book Gale would have been kind to Effie. He likely would have treated her the same way that he treated the stylists. Gale is a soldier, and unfortunately, he is exactly the type of person who is essential to the war presented in the Hunger Games. The rebels needed to present a united front. They could not afford to have every single soldier questioning their motives and their methods of getting there. And I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying it's morally good. I'm saying that Gale is a product of the war. And this doesn't excuse any of his actions, but it does help us understand him more as a character. I do not believe that Gale for a second thought that his idea for the bomb would be used against children, let alone Prim. But he knew they would be used against first responders. He knew they would be used against people. And it ended up being children, and it ended up being Prim. And that's something he has to live with.